The hallway was bathed in a sickly fluorescent light, its flickering hum echoing my racing heartbeat. The lockdown had cast an eerie spell over Millville High School, turning the familiar corridors into shadowy labyrinths. I, Thomas, found myself huddled with a group of terrified students, each of us trapped in the cold grip of the unknown. It began innocently enough, with an intercom announcement shattering the mundane routine of a Tuesday morning. Principal Rodriguez's voice, usually steady, wavered as he ordered an immediate lockdown. Confusion rippled through the classrooms, and we followed the rehearsed drill, barricading ourselves behind desks and chairs. As we waited in the oppressive silence, a distant murmur caught my attention. Faint whispers, as if carried by a spectral wind, seeped through the closed door. With curiosity overpowering caution, I convinced a few classmates to join me in investigating the source. We stumbled upon a door concealed behind a faded tapestry, its handle rusted with neglect. The passage led us down a creaking staircase into a forgotten basement. The air was thick with the musty scent of ancient books and decaying wood. Dust motes danced in the dim light as we entered a series of abandoned classrooms, frozen in time. Old wooden desks, covered with tattered sheets, lined the rooms. A blackboard at the front of one bore a cryptic equation that seemed to shift when we blinked. In the corner, a cracked mirror reflected our apprehensive expressions, but something lurked in the shadows behind us, just out of view. As we delved deeper, the whispers intensified into anguished cries, echoing the long-forgotten torment of students who had once occupied these forsaken halls. A sudden gust of wind extinguished our flashlights, plunging us into darkness. The basement door slammed shut with an echoing finality, leaving us paralyzed in the suffocating black. Sarah, a quiet girl with an uncanny sensitivity to the supernatural, claimed to hear a haunting melody reverberating through the halls. Its mournful notes seemed to beckon her, pulling her away from the safety of our barricaded classroom. Despite our protests, Sarah ventured alone into the labyrinthine corridors. The melody guided her to the abandoned music room, a chamber draped in dusty memories. In the center stood an old grand piano, its keys untouched by living hands for years. As Sarah's trembling fingers brushed the keys, the melody intensified. The air grew thick with an unseen presence. Ghostly figures materialized around us, musicians from an era long past, their eyes hollow and sorrowful. Desperate whispers filled the room, urging Sarah to join their spectral symphony. The figures gestured with spectral instruments, their transparent forms producing an otherworldly cacophony. Terrified, Sarah fled the room, the haunting melody chasing her down the corridor like a vengeful spirit. Even after the lockdown lifted, Sarah was haunted by the mournful tune. The echoes of the spectral symphony lingered in her mind, a constant reminder that some horrors couldn't be escaped. A portrait that hung in the main hallway of Millville High became the center of our dread. The image depicted the school's founder, his stern gaze following anyone who passed. It was said that the portrait held a dark secret, and as the lockdown persisted, that secret unraveled. A small group, myself included, gathered to examine the founder's portrait. As our eyes met the stern gaze, the atmosphere in the hallway shifted. The founder's expression twisted into a malevolent grin, and the air thickened with an unsettling energy. The portrait transformed before our eyes, revealing a hidden passage behind it. Hesitant but driven by an unseen force, we entered a dimly lit corridor, adorned with faded tapestries. The air in the passage reeked of decay, and the walls seemed to pulse with a malevolent force. The passage led us to a forgotten chamber, a place frozen in time. A dusty desk held a leather-bound journal, the confessions of the school's founder. He had made a pact with an otherworldly entity, binding the school to a curse that thrived on the fear of its students. As we read the damning words, the temperature plummeted, and the founder's ghost materialized before us. His eyes burned with an otherworldly fire as he cursed us to become the next victims of his malevolent creation. The chamber echoed with his sinister laughter as we fled, the founder's spectral form fading into the shadows. Rumors of a phantom janitor named Mr. Blackwell circulated among the students. Mr. Blackwell had vanished under mysterious circumstances years ago, but during the lockdown, his spectral presence was said to roam the desolate school corridors. Intrigued by the whispers, a group of us set out to uncover the truth. We followed the sound of dragging footsteps to the school's maintenance area, where flickering lights cast eerie shadows on the peeling walls. As we ventured deeper, a ghostly figure emerged from the darkness. Mr. Blackwell, the phantom janitor, pushed a squeaky mop bucket with an ethereal determination. His eyes were vacant voids, and his presence sent shivers down our spines. The phantom janitor beckoned us closer, his spectral form flickering like a dim flame. In a raspy voice, he shared the tragic tale of his demise, betrayed and forgotten. He sought solace in the afterlife, haunting the school that had abandoned him. As the lockdown lifted, Mr. Blackwell's ghostly figure dissipated, leaving behind an empty mop bucket and the chilling echoes of his tormented soul. The maintenance area, once shrouded in ghostly shadows, returned to a semblance of normalcy. But the memory of the phantom janitor lingered like a phantom ache. The strangest horror unfolded in the most mundane of places, the school restroom. Emma, a quiet girl with an inclination for the supernatural, claimed to have discovered a mirror that served as a gateway to another dimension. Skeptical yet intrigued, a small group agreed to investigate. The restroom, dimly lit and filled with a palpable energy, held a mirror that seemed to defy reality. As we approached, our reflections twisted into grotesque caricatures, their eyes filled with malevolence. Emma, undeterred, touched the glass, and a ripple traversed its surface. Suddenly we were pulled into a nightmarish realm. The restroom transformed into a twisted version of itself, with warped reality and phantasmal entities lurking in the shadows. Our doppelgangers, distorted and sinister, emerged from the mirror, mirroring our movements with malicious intent. Desperate to escape, we navigated the distorted labyrinth of the mirror dimension. Malevolent laughter echoed, and unseen entities whispered our deepest fears. In a final act of desperation, Emma shattered the mirror, and we were violently pulled back into the real world. The restroom remained unchanged, but the mirror lay shattered on the cold tile floor. We had escaped the mirror dimension, but its echoes linger.